Hey everybody, welcome back. This is HD, and it's time for game number 2 between our good friend Hannibal.Prime, just Hannibal, our blue Terran player, and our opponent, the red Zerg oGs.cezanne. In the last game, these players really duked it out, and I was really impressed by Hannibal's comeback victory. It almost seemed like Hannibal was out of it, considering the huge loss of drones. It was honestly, it was like a pillage and plunder of the great city of the Terrans, and somehow Hannibal was able to come back in that game, and it was brilliant. It was a great all-in attack. It was a desperation maneuver, and he was able to pull it off. It was great, and a lot of it came down to the fact that. A lot of it came down to the fact that he was able to scan those burrowed banelings, and he was able to pick them off before his Marines walked on them and basically get trapped. And because he was able to avoid all the traps, and because he was able to keep his Marines alive, that's why he was able to come back and win that game. And obviously, he made an attack count right when the Zerg player was trying to rebuild his army. So it was a great build. It was a great play. And now it's up to Cezanne to win this game. Obviously, this is an exhibition matchup on Battle.net, and it is a best of 3, I believe. So we're going to see what happens now. Now, this map is Scrap Station. So if there's ever a map for a Zerg player to beat a Terran player on, this is it. This map hugely favors Mutalisks. They are super powerful because of the close spawn by air. And on top of that, it is very difficult for a Terran player to cover his natural because of the backdoor rocks. A Zerg can go in for a roach bust. They can even break it down with Zerglings if they please. And all of that really adds up to the Terran player kind of having a nightmare on this map. And not really playing this map out to how they would prefer to play it on somewhat of a standard map, something like Lost Temple or maybe even Steppes of War. So this map is very, very difficult to deal with against Zerg if you're Terran. Now it looks like Cezanne is actually going to go ahead and just take that advantage right away. He's going to go for a spawning pool, early gas, early pool, and he's going to start to pump a lot of early Zerglings here. 4 Zerglings. And remember, in game number 1, Hannibal was very, very scared of a Baneling bust, but Cezanne didn't do it. Now, in game number 2, if Cezanne goes for a Baneling bust, that would be pretty darn baller. I'm not gonna lie, that would be pretty crazy. Now, Cezanne has to pick off this SCV. Uh-oh, it looks like the SCV is gonna get in. So the SCV will see the early gas here. So Cezanne, his opening build may actually be a little bit thwarted, and as a result, we actually may see a hatchery go down instead. So yeah, Cezanne is going to go for a hatchery, going to go for the Expo after the early speed, and I don't think we're going to see any kind of a Baneling bust. But like I said before, this map very much favors Zerg, and if there's a map to do a Baneling bust on, this is the map to do it. You need a lot of buildings to cover this humongous ramp. This is a ginormous ramp. It's like double the size of any other ramp. If Tony Hawk were here, he would probably be doing a 1220 or 1280 off this ramp. Unfortunately, it's not vertical enough. But yeah, what I mean to say is this ramp is very, very big. So it's difficult for the Terran player to wall it off, especially against a Baneling bust. And we're pretty much seeing what we saw in game number 1. Except this wall is super vulnerable to Baneling bust. The supply depot and the reactor, extremely weak. Banelings can easily bust through. And it doesn't look like Hannibal is very worried at all. He's going to build his command center in the back. He's going to build his barracks in the back. Oh my god, he's going to switch his factory and his barracks, and this actually could kill him. All of the Hellions and a couple of Marines going down, and now the SCV is forced to fight. Oh god, all the SCVs could go down as well. And wow, Cezanne taking the greatest opportunity ever presented to a Zerg player when the Terran player swaps the factory onto the barracks, and he runs about 8 Zerglings in there, and he kills off a Hellion, a couple Marines, and about 5 SCVs. About 5 or 6. So now Hannibal is in a lot of trouble. I mean, huge amounts of trouble. I'm not even sure how you can come back at this point. 15 to 25. He's going to have to bring out these Hellions, and he's going to try to do some damage with them. But honestly, the Zerg player's economy is double the size of Hannibal's. He's got 2 expansions over 1 expansion. He's building even a spine crawler to make sure these Hellions cannot come inside the main. So everything going great for the Zerg this time around. And unless Hannibal can pull off a super major comeback victory like he did in game number 1, I just don't see this working out towards the Terran player whatsoever. We can see the Hellions even forced to just kind of poking in. They see the spine crawler there and they say, okay guys, time to get out of here. Group up with another pair of Hellions and maybe come in for another attack a little later on. But right now, this is pretty much Hellion proof. There's no way any Hellions are going to get through a spine crawler and a dozen Zerglings. Meanwhile, it looks like Hannibal is going to go ahead and try to secure his natural expansion. Is the Overlord going to get there in time to spew some creep? No, it does not. Denied, says the command center. And now a Mule comes down and a Marine comes out to ward the Overlord away. So Hannibal, not exactly that far behind actually, because remember he went for this early command center inside the base, and with the power of the Mule, he may be able to come back pretty quickly in terms of economy if he can get his saturation going at both the main and at the natural, and eventually he may actually be able to overtake the Zerg player's economy, especially if Cezanne does not get a third expansion somewhere else. And now it looks like Hannibal is actually breaking through the middle rocks, and he's got some Marauders here. This is very interesting. He may actually make an attack with Marauders and Hellions. This is the weirdest timing attack I've ever seen. Stim and concussive shells are on the way as well. And if we look at the Zerg player, what does he have? He's got a Spire on the way, and he's built a bunch of Spine Crawlers, Lings, and Banelings. So honestly, I think that Cezanne should be able to deal with this timing attack quite well. This may actually be some kind of a desperation attack, just like we saw in game number 1. Hannibal knows he's behind. He lost a lot of Harvesters early on, and he knows that he has to make some kind of an attack count. So he's going to go for a mass Marauder, mass Hellion attack. The Hellions do not have increased damage. Just keep that in mind. Here we go. The Marauder's going to try to pick off the Spine Crawlers first. The Speedling's going to surround all the Marauders, and the Baneling's picking off half the Hellions. Remember, Baneling's doing super increased damage to Hellions, and I think that is that. That was the end of that attack. And unless Hannibal can come out with a miracle out of the bag, some kind of a magic trick, I honestly do not see Hannibal winning this game. He's going to try to break through the backdoor rocks, but we have 8 Mutalisks on the way. And as soon as those Mutalisks pop out, what in the Terran army's current composition can shoot air? Hellions, their fire is limited to the ground, and these rockets that are shot out of the infused arms on these Marauders cannot shoot Mutalisks either. So that is pretty much going to be GG. As soon as Hannibal sees the Mutas, he says, okay, I'm out. Good game. And that is going to be a 1-1. So we're going to move on to a third match between Cezanne and Hannibal. And that was actually a really, really quick one. I'm surprised that Hannibal fell so far behind, but that just goes to show at this high level, one small mistake, like allowing the Zerglings to run in when you swap your factory and barracks, that's going to cost you the game. That caused him to lose about 5 SCVs and his opening forces, and that proved too great of a disadvantage to recover from. So Hannibal losing game number 2. We're going to move on to game number 3 right after this, guys. Stay tuned. HD signing out.